Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horror review. Horrorific, I can nearly say that right. Steve and I are back as we continue our look into the Hammer horror series of films with The Curse of the Werewolf, directed by Terence Fisher. In 18th-century Spain, an adopted boy becomes a werewolf and terrorizes the inhabitants of his town. There's no budgetary information for this film. It must be super secret squirrel.
Yeah.
But all in all, fun movie. Oliver Reed
I,
at his overacting best. Like,
yeah.
he'd give
He
Joan
always,
Collins a run for her money with overacting.
yeah, yeah. But a lot of the films he actually done the stunts himself in a load of his films. So I'm not sure if he did it in this one. But he's.
I could see him doing it, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. He was in the Oliver. He did stunts himself, yeah. So no, I loved this one. I thought it was hammer back to its horror self.
So gothic roots, and yeah.
Isn't it the only werewolf film?
Well, we enjoyed the two phases of. I don't think it did too. That was something actually I was thinking about for a future thing, but the Wolfman, the Wolfman himself, not werewolf movies, but the Wolfman, hasn't been done a lot in film.
No,
it's a strange character. Same as a creature from the Black Lagoon. It hasn't been done a lot in films.
No, and they've been, when they have been done, like Curse of the Werewolf, they've been done very well.
But, sometimes less is more.
The thing I liked about this, it just edged into it, because initially all you saw was the shadow of him killing people, and then gradually built up to the end when you actually saw the werewolf, Oliver Reed, as in true form. But yeah, it was.
I have to say, actually, all the time, the makeup was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, first time, the makeup was top notch. But yeah, I tell you what did make me laugh is, the beggar at the beginning, when he was in the cell.
Yeah, that kicks all this off.
All his beard kept peeling off. As he was eating, and the beard was going like that, and then it would pan away, and it would be stuck back on, and then it would go like this.
Prosthetics of, I think we've said this from the start. These are the first sort of movies where they're experimenting with prosthetics.
Yeah,
I mean, this is all brand new technology if you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
Like, we like if we did American Werewolf in London, no other genre was doing that extensive level of prosthetics or makeup.
No.
When you look at what that was up against, even in 1980s,
yeah,
other genres of movies, action, adventure, you name it, weren't doing that level. Even fantasy movies, well, there weren't that many fantasy movies, but they weren't even going that far. Horror was the one that pioneered the way for special effects, and I think people forget that.
You went off then.
Frozen. I'm killed. Oh, I think the internet gods. Sorry, internet gods. The newborn unbaptized babies in the post.
Yeah.
Please give us our internet back.
Yeah. When they finally did do a transformation in Curse of the Werewolf, another thing that made me laugh was the hands. But it was actually done in an American Werewolf in London, where he actually held the hand out in front of him, and you actually saw it piece by piece.
Mm-hmm.
These, he held the two out in front of him, but if you notice the hands, they were more like paws. They were quite small. Yeah. They weren't like real human hands. Whether that was intentional, because he was a wolf, and wolf have paws, of course. Yeah, it's. But I thought,
I would say so. Like there was an attempt.
Yeah, I thought if they're supposed to be
telling
human,
yeah, but it's telling the classic tale of, it's not something you've done. Even the man who speaks in prayer by night may become the wolf when the wolf's being when the wolf burns back. I should have I should have copied that one down, but it's one of the oldest rhymes, and I've butchered it. Well done, me.
Yeah.
But start off, so the opening scenes with the teary werewolf, like just the Oliver Reed's character, just his eyes and the emotion. That was
Yeah.
an interesting way to start off.
Mm. The
That's not before this style of we're seeing the tragedy of uh, the werewolf creature.
Yeah, because it's one of those films where you start to feel a bit like Phantom of the Opera. You start to feel sorry for the main protagonist as opposed to the people around him. And Oliver Reed has got this way of making you feel, sorry for him because he's got this, not addiction, sort of. What do they call it? Not a disease, but I'm trying to think of the word now. But he's
magnetism. Who are you thinking of?
He's been given from birth this affliction of being a werewolf.
Yeah,
but
totally not his fault. And
he portrays it, he's making you feel sorry for him. Last time I felt like that was Phantom Opera in the stage show.
It's nice the fact that they stuck to the supernatural aspect, and this is what my complaint is about modern werewolf / vampire / zombie infected virus, that you can't tell the difference between them, where there is distinct lore between each of the creatures, which is what made them unique and special and long-standing.
Yeah.
So the werewolf comes into being either by a werewolf bite or an affront against God. That's the way it was meant to be, that a great offense has been committed and then the curse is bestowed. The recipient of the curse is almost an instrument of revenge or retribution.
Yeah.
But it's not always clear cut. It's just, it's kind of left that. And to me, there's nothing wrong with playing with those themes. Yes, we're more scientific in nature today, blah, blah, blah. But the wonderment, the what's out there, things we can't explain.
Because
I miss that. I don't like things overanalyzed.
No, modern werewolf films do not use the original story of, if they're born on a religious day, this was done as the revenge for them being born Christmas Day, in this case.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't. They've never. I don't think that in all the werewolf films I've seen, it's never been that. It's always been from a bite, or they don't tell you how they become a werewolf. But it's
But once again, this is an attempt just to freshen up, because obviously Lon Chaney Jr. had been in the Wolfman before this. The story's been told, very popular. So all they're doing is putting a little twist on it, and they're making it a tragic story, just in its own way. So rather than just being a carbon copy of the Wolfman story, they're playing about with it and just giving a wee bit of a twist. And what they're saying as well is maybe different regions, and it's getting the whole lycanthrope thing, where the lycanthrope tales come from. Different regions of different versions of the story, so they're just playing about with that. And I like, this is what my complaint about modern storytellers and modern horror is, that there's still a whole world of storytelling folklore that hasn't even been tapped. Stories that are being forgotten.
Yeah.
And they've stopped looking. You guarantee you go to a hill tribe in Nepal and they'll have a horror story.
Yeah.
And it'll be unique to the area and the neighborhood and their culture. and it'll be fascinating. And all you do is you tweak it and you can bring it, bring it out there. Africa, Latin America, you name it. I mean, every culture has its own form of horror story because, as we've discussed in the morality and horror discussion, horror serves a purpose.
Yeah.
There were stories designed to keep people safe. So they were obviously built around the locale. So if somewhere's heavily forested and there's a chance you can get lost in the forest and eaten by a bear, well, guess what? You tell the kids a horror story about a witch in the woods. If you're out in the desert plains or up in the mountains, you're going to,
Well, even in Devon and Cornwall.
And is there a reason? Sorry, go ahead.
In Devon and Cornwall, you got the Beast of Bodmin Moor and you got the Beast of Exmoor. Mm-hmm. It's probably never been seen seen by some loony on a camping trip or something like that. But when they take these photos of a black blob, but it is folklore, a bit like the Sasquatch, Bigfoot. It is folklore from.
Yeah, but they all serve purposes.
Yeah.
But it's basically down to don't go out into the marshes by yourself at night. That's a bit silly. But if you tell somebody don't go out in the marshes by yourself at night, that's a bit silly. They'll go, you can't tell me. So what you do is you invent the scary story that makes people afraid to go out in the marshes in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
it's
when in the films when there's a mad killer on the loose and suddenly there's a noise from the door in the corner. I'd go that way. Bugger that,
Yeah.
But in the films,
I wonder what that is.
Look, the door. I thought they also brought through the storyline about love can conquer all. If the werewolf is loved as he was by the uncle and the aunt, as he called them, then things didn't happen. So it came through quite well. And of course, then he had the girlfriend that he was poaching from someone else who, and he didn't
within
change
5 minutes of arriving in the village. Like that's
classic. Yeah.
He arrives in, doesn't even get in through the gates. Right, he's a job and a woman.
Yeah,
like stealing her off the gentry as well, which was fun. Just
what a way to get his own back going, isn't it? Oh, you sprayed me with water in your horse and carriage. I'm going to nick your girlfriend.
Oh god, that was funny. But the fact they spent such a long time with the build up to this was interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't all werewolf.
No.
She got the story from the start, and it was well narrated as well by the uncle, wasn't it? What's the uncle? Yeah,
that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, because he
was an interesting choice to have it narrated.
Yeah, I suppose they were trying to tell a story and to have a storyteller actually bringing in each bit rather than just let you wonder what was going on. If you take the storyteller out of it, you would have thought, what's this guy doing going into the pub at the beginning, and then the storyteller told you he was a beggar, and then wasn't that bloody guy a real bastard, wasn't he? The Mark.
Oh, the Baron, the Marquis.
Marcus, yeah.
But it was an interesting take because Hammer haven't used this method before. They haven't used narration in their stories.
No.
So it's like they're trying out fresh ideas, which I like. I like the fact that as a franchise, we haven't really had 2 movies the same so far, and we're 12 movies in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And
the only two that could, well, four, Quatermass 2 could almost be, because they're sequels. But even those two movies were different to each other. They had
yeah.
a different look and a different feel. Um,
Mm.
The Curse of Frankenstein, The Revenge of Frankenstein, once again, it's a continuation, but both had their own look and feel. Even the
Yeah.
creation of the monster was using different techniques because, he was advancing. So when you think about today, look at the MCU, look at Star Wars, like you can't tell one between the other. It's just a regurgitation from movie to movie to movie. Like
Yeah.
you look, the MCU is the best example. You cannot tell the difference between one movie and the next. They're
No.
essentially carbon copies, but and they've got more experience, more money, more technology than back here in the late 50s, early 60s.
I
And here
think
we have a
films
franchise.
films of today
Sorry, go
they
ahead.
they they do it as like an additional chapter, don't they? Because if you look at Twisters, they've actually said that Twisters is not a
Mm.
sequel; it's a different chapter. So it's like someone's wrote a book, and Twister was chapter 1 and 2, and Twisters is 3 and 4. And I think a lot of the Marvel films, you look at Spider-Man, he's okay. The first one tells you how he gets to be Spider-Man, but then from then on, it's just another story of how he is Spider-Man. It's like a soap, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Take the the Bear was on twice a week, every week, and it was just the same characters in a different story, and that's more or less what these superhero movies are. They're just still the superhero, but with a different story, a different enemy, and at times Spider-Man had different enemies. But,
Oh, perfect. I'm trying to get a list here of the movies to see where they were 12 movies in.
yeah,
And they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 12th movie in was Avengers Age of Ultron. So already by that point, these were getting repetitive.
yeah,
Was that the second Avengers movie? Right. So already they're getting boring and repetitive. 12 movies
mm,
in to the MCU.
yeah.
Where here we are in Hammer, they're 12 movies in and
New
they're
ideas,
trying different things. So we've now got a new idea. We've got a narrator with a different setting. So it's not just in London. Like this could be easily, they
yeah,
could have just said everything in London and the same
but
sort of European
if
setting,
you
which
think
we'd seen.
the original werewolf story was set in Paris, because it was
Mhm.
actually called a werewolf in Paris. So yeah, they could have easily thought, we'll follow the book and set it in Paris, but um,
And use the same locations they had before, but they didn't. They set this just outside Barcelona, in Spain and rural Spain,
yeah,
and they use a completely different location, and they use some of the local folklore, injected it in, and it worked. They
yeah,
didn't have to do that. They could have been lazy. Like I'm saying, you compare it to another franchise today, 12 movies in, and you see that they've already got tired and lazy and repetitive. Where here, they're
yeah,
still being innovative. They're still trying new things. They're still trying to not like it's the Wolfman story. You're not
mm,
under any illusions about it being a different take or subverting your expectations or anything like that. All they're doing is making little tweaks to make a different tale.
yeah, yeah. And what is like I said to you previously as well. I like the fact that Hammer seem to use the same actors, even in bit parts. Because if you
Hmm.
check, one I mentioned was Michael Ripper. Now
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him in different things as well. He died in the year 2000. He was 87. But if you look at his filmography, He's been in everything. EastEnders, The Bill. He's always had work. Right through till 1995, when I suppose he was. Let's say 82. He would have been in 1995. So he was one of these, like we said, Christopher Lee and Clint Eastwood and people like that still working. This was another guy who was 82 and still working his backside. And if you look at his filmography, he's always had work, but he's always been a bit part actor, like the guard in The Shadow of the
job and actor. That's what he did.
Cabby, Scars of Dracula. He's in Scars of Dracula. He was the landlord. Randall Knockert, deceased. Dracula has risen from the grave. He plays Max. So looks like he's been in all the Dracula films, but as a different actor or a different part, But Plague of the Zombies. He's been in so much as a jobbing actor, and it's just nice to see them Hammer bring in the same actors, even if they are jobbing actors, because
I see this as an acting troupe.
Yeah,
I view the Hammer productions, and don't forget, these are just their horror movies. Hammer films, covered a lot. We're just looking at the horror aspect, but Hammer Productions was adventure, mystery, crime, you name it. It covered it. I mean, it was a machine.
Yeah.
And the fact that even within a subdivision of horror, they're still trying to make it interesting. They're still trying to tell refreshed stories. They're still trying to please the audience.
Yeah.
Where that is completely gone today from movie making. They genuinely do not care, which is...
It's just a conveyor belt these days. It's,
but once again, we're 12 movies in. This isn't exactly a studio that's like, oh, we'll put out an artsy-fartsy movie every 2 years. And like horror was just a subject. What I mean is this Horror Productions as a whole was a production machine. I mean, it was a beast. It was churning out movies like 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
And still, and plus the limited technology of the time. So they'll have to work hard to put these movies out.
You wouldn't have got like a 2 or 3 Dracula films in the same year. I think they did do that in the 70s, didn't they? We had 2 Dracula films in the...
Yeah, it was Dracula AD and
72.
Here's the Blood of Dracula, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
apart from that, you never had 2 of the same in the same year with or even 2 years with Hammer. Why they chose to do that in 72?
Well, Dracula AD was a bit of an alternate take.
Yeah.
And it was Dracula in modern times. And that was the idea. And I don't think it was Van Helsing himself. I think it was like a descend or something, but it was, they just had to play about with it. So that was considered maybe not the traditional Dracula, but once again, they're even trying different things just to refresh it and not do the same old tropes. Like at this stage and the size of this company and the number of movies they're putting out, you would think that they would be lazy about it. They would get into the position of, we just use the name. We don't have to work to make our movies. The audience will turn up. The arrogance that we have today of, we just have to stick the brand name on it and the dum-dums will turn up to watch it.
Yeah.
There seems to be none of that with these films. I'm not getting that impression. Even the bad ones.
Cinema attendances are going down anyway. And if they're continuing to put out the crapper today, it's going to ruin cinema.
Well, there's I got a message today about the Crow remake tickets being available.
Yeah.
The cinemas are empty. Like all seats available. Woof. Nobody's buying the tickets.
Yeah, I know. If you think these films, you used to have to queue at the door, and weren't guaranteed on getting into the cinema, and that was when it was one screen in the cinema. It was a great big giant screen, and you'd have one screen of 1,000 seats, whereas when they went to multiplex, it's several screens, about 200 seats.
Yeah, it didn't really change much. Like there were more cinemas, more independent cinemas, where the multiplexes went to chains.
Yeah.
I don't think you really got more with the multiplex. Because don't forget as well, there was there wouldn't be showing the Hammer horror, another cinema chain would be showing the adventure movie, and another cinema chain would be using a different company. You know what I mean? There's no shortage of movies when cinema hit.
No.
So once again, there was still competition.
Yeah.
So they still had to make an effort. And even as you're saying, they were queuing out the door. They could easily have just went, nah, we don't have to work. We just put in anything we want, and the dum-dums will turn up.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because the cinemas in Plymouth, and the old Belgrave cinema, was known for showing sex films, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually called the Flea Pit, because if you went down there, not that I speak from experience of going down to watch sex films, but if you went down there, you normally sit on the seat if you don't wear shorts, because you used to get bit by something or other off the seats.
Oh god, the crawling outside.
They used to call it the Flea Pit, and then you had the normal ones were shown in the Drake, who used to show a lot of kids' films. The action films were shown down St. Budo Cinema. So yeah, they seem to specialise in Plymouth on types of films, but you'd never get the same cinema. You might get the ABC, which was the independent one, and the Drake, perhaps showing, say, a James Bond film, a film that was, guaranteed to bring in the audiences. But the need was there for two cinemas to show it, because if you couldn't get in the Drake, you ran up to the ABC to try and get there, and you just to get in,
Yeah, and with that being said, Hammer had every then excuse not to put an effort in.
Yeah.
But they still try to make good movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have this whole backstory with the beggar. He turns up. And it was interesting the fact he could knock a door and be like straight into the audience chamber. He goes to the pub first.
Yeah.
And he, everyone's complaining about the Marquise's wedding. And how they're all broke because of the raised taxes and stuff. And he's basically tries to pass a hat around. He's like, nah, if you want something, go up to the castle.
Yeah.
But the fact he was able to just knock a door and be like straight into the banquet hall, that was like, I don't think that happens in reality.
No. But I think it was sort of nasty of the people, if they really knew what the Marquis was like, for them to say, yeah, go up there and bang on his door and ask him for money. And that was more or less guaranteeing his demise, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I thought quite nasty.
But the other, and it's this whole, like I said, it's playing into folklore and stuff about children being born of evil and stuff, and they're cursed. And they even said it themselves that they don't frolic in March and April, so they don't run the risk. And that actually makes sense from a practical perspective.
Yeah.
Who wants to have a newborn baby in the middle of winter? In the harshest months?
Well,
animals don't do it. No, but if you think about it, that's why we've got spring lambing. That's why we've got, spring has sprung and all that. You know what I mean? Animals know that cycle. Humans don't seem to have twigged on that, hold on, it's winter, we're using our reserves, we're hunkering down. Having a brand newborn baby using up resources and heat is maybe not a good idea. And it's funny how people, like I'm saying, horror has a practical aspect to it. By coming up with these stories and basically saying, a child born on Christmas Day will be cursed, it's an affront against God. What they're saying is, having a child in the middle of bloody winter, when resources are lean and tight and it's already difficult enough, Like, this isn't the 20th or 21st century they're having a baby in with central heating. This is, you've gathered your wood for the fire to last you all winter, and you're living on candles, and your stores, you've hunkered down for the winter. That's why you've harvest. The harvest festivals and all. It's all geared for survival.
Yeah. It's a good way of looking at it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's it's all. I think people forget that about the horror genre. That's why I'm always harping on about it, because horror of all genres of storytelling is the most useful and the most practical, because it has a purpose. And it's just sticking in the eye of those that thumb their nose down at horror, going, "Me, oh, you're a horror person, no, you're a psychopath." No, actually, it's the best storytelling in the world because of its purpose. It actually serves a practical purpose for humanity. It reminds us.
Always a backstory.
There's a reason.
Yeah. And you don't get that these days. It's straight into it, and in comes the hero, and it's out again. It's
not even now.
You don't get the little side stories.
No, and I like going back to remembering what we've missed in storytelling, because it's not wasted. And it's worth looking back. That's why I'm enjoying this series, because it's worth looking back at the folklore that this was gleaned from.
Yeah.
Because I can almost guarantee the writers went out and spoke and looked up local folklores, and this might have been the only time that particular tale was recorded in history. It might never have been written down.
Yeah. You should. The studios of today, they should be looking back and using this as a basis for how they make their films, because if you take other things, they use historical data and everything from they say, don't they, that if you want to learn how to fight, you look at the guys from who's been in the world wars and everything, and really why reinvent the wheel? This is what I'm saying. Is these were successful. I know we've got different generations now, but if you brought this through with the different generations, they would be more acceptable to things like Hammer horror.
Just traditional storytelling.
My son will sit and watch, a Hammer horror with me, and Co's not that. He'll sit there and watch it, but he'll pick it to bits. You should have him on one of these. Actually. But,
get a really cheesy bad one and just break his brain and have him like, why?
He sits there and laughs at everything that happens. But,
yeah, but that's each their own. Do you know what I mean? If I don't mind somebody not enjoying them. I don't mind if it's not your thing. Where I have a problem is people thumbing their nose down, saying it's a lesser method. Excuse me. Not a valid method of storytelling. And it's the tales don't resonate. And trying to say that somehow you're cheap or you're low rent because you enjoy the horror genre. That's where I have a problem. If people just genuinely don't like horror stories, fine. There's no problem. Crack on. There's loads of other genres to enjoy.
There's a difference between saying, oh no, I don't like horror, as opposed to saying that's crap, isn't it? It's having to watch a horror film with a partner or something, and saying, oh, I didn't like that, it's crap. I don't like horror, it's crap. Whereas if you just say, yeah, I don't really do horror, I'm more of a comedy fan,
which is perfectly fine. Yeah, one's an antagonistic statement and sort of shows the stupidity of the person saying it.
Yeah,
and the other is just letting somebody know who you are and what you're into, and that's fine. The discussion we had.
I don't do things with a lot of CGI in, because it just doesn't look real to me. If I suppose being brought up with things like Hammer. I know it's all scenery, but it was made.
There's an effort.
Yeah, and you think, yeah, this. Okay, so the scenery when you shut a door, I might go wee, but it was made to be acted in. Whereas today they just get on a computer and use a green screen and they bring up all these scenes and Spider-Man flying through the air, and you just think he's not flying through the bloody air.
You're not man up.
And you take the old TV Spider-Man from 1978 with Nicholas Hammond, I think it was called.
The TVs, yeah.
And when he was landing, if you take the making of it, he was actually on a. They used the same thing with Superman with Christopher Reeve. It was like a seesaw, and he'd come down on a wire, land on the seesaw, and then to go slower, they'd have a weighted seesaw for him to land. Well, these days they'd use computer graphics. It wouldn't even be an actor, and he'd just go like that, and it's just not. To me, it's not real. So I'm not keen on CGI, but I don't knock anyone else who likes that sort of thing. Each everyone say like MCU, then they can have their MCU.
Yeah, and that's it. Crack on, enjoy yourself. Just don't be saying how anything else that you don't like is shit or degenerate someone for enjoying it. That's all I ask. I'm just sick and tired. It's hard to. It's easy to forget when I'm in this space and talking to people like yourself that there's people like that out there. But whenever you go out in the real world and you're meeting like normies and they ask you what your hobbies are and you tell them what your hobbies are, and then they give you that look, and you're sort of like, what? As if you've got two heads and you eat babies every day.
Yeah, you always get the comments about horror films are the basis for other things. Like if you watch horror films, you could be a killer yourself. It's like when the government said, if you play all these violent games on the PlayStation, you're going to end up being a violent person.
It's funny enough, the people that say that are usually the ones that turn out to be psychos themselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's the people that usually say the things are the ones doing the things.
Yeah.
Projection's a powerful tool. If you want to meet a scumbag, look at somebody who's telling you how good they are, or how honest they are, or how charitable they are, or how caring they are. If they're having to project their virtues all the time, then guess what? You're generally not dealing with a nice person. And I just find it fascinating that I'm unapologetic for who I am. I'm just who I am. I enjoy what I enjoy. I have a dark sense of humor. I'll find gallows humor in the bleakest of situations because my take is you can either laugh or cry. I know what I prefer doing, because if you're that powerless against a ridiculous situation, what else can you do but just laugh at it? Because why not? Better than giving in to despair, because once you do that, you're going down a dark path. But the people just look at you, oh, you like these movies? Oh, and you're actually seeing it today as well, especially the sort of token horror fan who only wants to follow the trendy thing. And they'll look down their nose at, oh, you're watching them old movies. Why? I enjoy them and I like to see where cinemas come from. And they've actually got better stories that you can watch. That doesn't mean I'm sitting here going, I do not watch modern horror. I do. But I'm a bit more...
watch all types of horror, me. It's there are some good modern horror.
Absolutely. There's some terrible ones, but then we're looking back here and there's been some terrible movies too. You don't get away with it. There's, it's just part of the creative process. Sometimes you'll put out absolute blinders. Other times there'll be duds. That's just the creative process. The important thing is to learn. And we've seen it with this series that we're doing. We've seen some of the absolute howlers, and instead of giving up or attacking the audience, they've carried on, they've learned, and then we've got this. And already, like I said, we're getting a different style of storytelling. We're a different location. We're getting a slight twinge on the original folklore of the Wolfman, but it's not completely destroyed the folklore of the Wolfman. It's still, you still recognize the tale, but it's given a wee bit of a fresh update for the time.
Because it's only based on,
Hmm.
and you know, it's a different story, but it's just based on, so they're putting their own hit on it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel the brunt sometimes. I know it's said in jest about the things I write about. You know, the lady down the chemist said to me, "Oh," she says, "a bit worried about letting you in the door." She said it in humour because she buys all the books but even the one I had an email from abroad saying, what are you like in real life? I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to come over and kill you if that's me.
Yeah. And also, the fact you're asking that makes me worried about you.
Yeah.
Like you're building up a picture in your head and you're the one going to come after me, sort of thing.
Yeah. But that's the same thought with people who like horror. They don't think of it of people who like comedy. You know, they don't go, "Oh, I wonder what you're like in real life, a real Joker." You know, but horror, they think, "Oh yeah, he likes horror. He's one of these people who sits in his back room and you know, plots to kill people and things like that." But,
and yet, comedians are some of the darkest people on the planet.
Yeah.
They're proper misery whores, like if you think about it.
If you think how Joaquin Phoenix portrayed Joker, and he portrayed that perfectly because he was the clown who was really, really sad, had a sad life, and in reality he was a killer. But everyone thought he was the clown. You know, he was I thought it was brilliant. But yeah.
Not looking forward to that sequel.
But it's a bit like Gladiator 2, isn't it? How are they going to carry that? Yeah. But the best thing about Gladiator 2 would probably be the music, because it's Hans Zimmer again. But
have you not seen the trailer?
Yeah.
Gladiator rap battle.
Yeah.
No thanks. I'm right for that. But I mean, back to this. So we've sort of. It's funny how if you enjoy something, it just makes you think about the world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what storytelling does. It unlocks the old brain. It gets you wondering, and your mind starts looking at everything around you. And you only get that with good stuff. If you get bad storytelling, you instantly just shut off because you're like, nah, I'm not enjoying this. But when you sort of well-told story, it doesn't matter the time period. You're sort of enjoying it. You're going with it, but it does make you think, and that's what I love about storytelling in general. Good storytelling is it inspires you to sort of use the mental gears.
Yeah, I thought his demise at the end was perfectly filmed because it wasn't quick.
No,
you know, these days they would have just shot him, you know, and he'd fall on the floor dead. And
well, they did it with American Werewolf in London.
The ending would have all been over in a matter of you know, a minute or so. But this, he was being chased around all the buildings, etc., and you had the you know, the crowd with the torches and everything.
Proper burning torches and pitchforks. I miss that about movies. I love a good old mob with burning torches and pitchforks. Like that is any classic horror movie has to have that.
Yeah,
the villagers, the peasants revolt. You know, just rah! There's something about it.
If you think of my book, The Mist on the Mountain, that was the vision I had for the opening scene when they were going.
The modern day villagers.
Yeah, because it was a village, and you know, nothing happens here. You know, you could just imagine them going around with these torches, and I thought that was in.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, hello. Nice to see you. Nice. You probably can get
that. Probably showing your age again, mate. But Yeah, the fact they spend the first act of this is just spent with the setup, and I think it was time well spent.
Yeah.
We meet Leon's mother, who's a mute servant girl in the Marquise's
Mm.
castle, and we meet the beggar, who initially he seemed like a jolly type and has,
Yeah.
a sort of man of the world disposition, accepts his fate and does what he can.
Yeah.
You have sympathy for him up until a point,
Yeah.
and
When he had his dirty mind, you mean when he said to the Marquis, "Have a good night," and he
yeah,
gave us that smart, that dirty smile, and you thought, "Yeah, I'd chuck you in the cell for that."
the thing is, he was getting. This guy has no ounce of self-preservation. How has he managed to live as a beggar?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you would think someone who lives hand to mouth and goes from place to place, basically needing to use their charm and wits.
Yeah.
First of all, he didn't know he was in danger. Get into the banquet hall, knowing he's being played with. Absolutely no idea.
No,
Like,
because
that's
he thought it was funny that he was being told to dance. And he was dancing around, and then he looked at the crowd all laughing at him, and he done it that little bit more.
yeah, but still, the fact that he went in and he had no idea that he was, I'm in danger here.
Yeah.
Like, we all knew it as the audience, even before we'd never met the Marquise.
Yeah.
But that evil grin and the way he's inviting them in, like an almost predatory look in his face, you know this isn't going to end well. And anyone that's supposed to have street smarts, if you put it in that respect, of the beggar would know this. Would like, I'm not in a good place. I need to just take my leave and run, And he should have been down the thing, but he didn't. And then even after everything, as the Marquis is going with his new bride, that he comes off with that comment, you're like, mate, you're an idiot. On what planet? And you can almost see how much of the laughter around the table is actual jocular laughter or that polite of, I don't want to be the one to stop laughing first so I don't get his error on me.
Marquis told a joke, I've got to laugh.
Yeah, exactly. They'd actually managed to underplay the tinge of fear in the castle.
Yeah.
And that, to me, like the undertones of this, today that would have to be telegraphed out. It'll have to be spelled out to you what's going on.
Yeah.
But the lords and ladies of, for a start, were they afraid not to turn up to the wedding in the first place?
Yeah.
We know the Marquis is not well liked or thought of. And there seems to be a fear about him, and that is told.
They said like in the pub in the village, wasn't it? We've been told that we're not to work and we've got to celebrate and come in for a drink, and even though we're paying for it, but
I'm probably going to end up poor for it because we've lost a day's work.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're saying, well, if we don't celebrate, there's somebody's going to steal you on us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's all this is shown in the first 5 minutes of the sort of two scenes that they're in a dangerous place with a dangerous man.
Yeah.
And this beggar, who should have a bit more ounce about him, because he wasn't shown to be mentally deficient, if that makes sense.
No.
He was shown to be articulate. He's shown to be astute.
Yeah, you're told, aren't you, by the narrator? Oh, he knew what day it was, and he knew, and he wondered when the bells were ringing, and
it wasn't a Sunday, so why were the bells ringing? So this isn't a stupid man, and he's not a mentally deficient man. So the fact that he went completely like oblivious to what's going on around him, and we weren't even being told at this point what the Marquis was like.
No,
we're being shown through the actions of the villagers and in the banqueting hall himself. We're being shown through the medium of film that this is not a happy place, and the beggar should have been like dialed into this. This is somebody who's basically living rough, worrying about bandits on the road, worrying about where his next meal's coming from, and he's like not showing this at all. It's like, nah, I wasn't buying that bit. Also,
I'm
The
going to go.
dungeons are nice in this place.
Yeah, but they say dungeons. You only ever saw the one, and they put the girl in. But
Yeah, we only need this. Yeah, no, I reckon there's a few more, but obviously the plot needed to happen. Let's be honest. This is still a film.
Yeah.
They're not gonna.
But did you notice that not once did the girl's dress get dirty, even though she was thrown in?
Yeah,
thrown in and onto her back, and the back of the dress always remained pink and nice. Yeah,
it's the same. Right. So obviously they want the horror, they want what happened, but they're not. It wasn't the time for it to be graphic. You know, I mean, they're not going to do that. It wasn't that sort of time period, so I can forgive that. I don't get the turn. I know they're doing it for the plot, but I don't get the turn of the beggar when he's actually being thrown in somewhere warm and dry, and he's getting basically leg. You know, I know it's not like full legs of lamb, but even the first couple of times he's being fed, he's being well fed here.
Yeah.
He's not being
size of that turkey leg, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was like full, like the meat was dripping off it. It was like he's being looked after.
Yeah. He's a better food than us.
Yeah, I'm looking at going, flip's sake, I could do a bit of that. Give me something for a sandwich.
Beggar. Yeah.
Hell, go to the supermarket, that would cost me like 10 quid.
Yeah.
Just for the bits. But sure enough, obviously, what happens, and Servant Girl then gets her revenge on the Marquise. And I just love the way she's able to walk out and no repercussions for it.
Yeah.
Still, it kind of shows as well how bad the Marquise is, because
what sort of disease did he have on his face? It's like
he looked like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, he was like a teenager picking his zits, wasn't he?
Yeah. But I think they're trying to, once again, this is a bit of subtext. They're trying to show an ugly person who's lived an ugly life.
Yeah.
And at the end, their ugliness is coming out. So when they were young and brash, they were able to like put on the wig and the makeup and use the trappings of their wealth to hide what sort of person they were. And people, because of his status, had to acquiesce to him. And that's fair enough. So after his wife's passed on, he's nowhere by the looks of things. And he's towards the end of his days. So it's all coming out. And the fact that he was able to be taken out the way he was, and nobody bothered looking for the servant girl, kind of says a lot about how worried they were about bringing her to justice. You know, they almost would have said quietly that justice was served.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. You know, all this is subtext.
Yeah,
and I miss that level of storytelling. I miss subtext in films today. I hate the fact that everything has to beat you over the head. It's boring.
He was nasty to everyone, and he had a lot of internal enemies who were afraid to do or say anything. And then suddenly, you know, the girl done it, so they thought, oh well, what the hell?
Yeah, they were not. I looked really hard. You know, that sort of thing. Oh, darn it. Tarnations, I couldn't find her, and then they carry on about their business. Glad that he's gone. Yeah, all that's subtext.
They wouldn't have really known it was the girl.
Well, the guard let her up. You know what I mean?
The guard would have said, "Oh, well, the girl was in here. She was last." But you know,
probably not even asked them.
Yeah.
It would have been a case of did you see anybody go into the Marquise's room? No. Did you see anybody leave? No. Oh well, what a shame. Case closed. You know what I mean? It's but the whole subtext of it is brilliant. You know, and that's what I miss, like I said, about storytelling. And I wish they would bring that back. I wish they would show, don't tell. I'm sick and tired of being told what to think and what to feel and what's going on. I'm bored with it because it's not good storytelling.
Yeah.
But sure enough, we meet. She didn't have a name. She was just Christina. No, it wasn't. Christina was. Yeah, she never had a name, but it was.
When The
Alfredo
girl,
and what do you call his wife? Teresa?
I told you, didn't I? That the couple of goose that I noticed was, and I checked up on the date of it, was the cup, the mug that she was being used to give refreshment to. What was her name? Christina.
No, she's just no. Christina's the girl that was going to get married to Rico.
You know, the girl who had the baby.
She was just called the servant girl. She didn't have a name.
Yeah. Well, when she was in the bed, being looked after by the nanny and the
Teresa.
The comes over with a mug, and it was a Royal Dalton mug that wasn't patterned until the 1950s. So that was one big mistake. There were a couple of other things that I picked up on.
But don't forget as well, mate, they didn't have nerds in the 60s.
Yeah.
They didn't have nerds. Nerds weren't a thing in the 60s. They hadn't even born yet. So they're not expecting flipping lunatics like you going, me.
Check on that.
Yeah, that's factually inaccurate. Ooh, it's a wrong time period. I think they used what they had at the time. They hope they got away with it. Not a further thought was given. You know,
I did question as well some of the silver, but I didn't go into that. on the banquet, I thought
I'm pretty sure Terence Fisher wasn't thinking, "Ooh, 60 odd years later, Steve Knight's going to pick this movie apart." Oh, shame. Oh boy.
Probably
sure was a Quatermass one that you picked up on the surveying tripod.
Yeah.
Was it Quatermass one, wasn't it? You picked up on that as well. I'm like, hell things that, you sad
no, it's the mummy.
Oh, the mummy, yes, when they're surveying Egypt. Sorry, my mistake. Yes. Yeah.
Terence Fisher would probably say, Steve Knight, you need to get a life.
He would go, well, I'm sorry, but I got away with it for 60 years and people still went to see my movie. So, me. I don't think he cares. At the end of the day, do you know what? Considering the level of storytelling, I'll forgive him.
Yeah.
I see. Even Twitch is giving you the me.
Edgy. Oh yeah.
Look at you're even getting the me in the comments.
I'm king of the mistakes, you see.
We should do a compilation at the end. Let's just do like a compilation of all the mistakes, movie mistakes, and maybe do a stream on it. But yeah, so we'll have the she's looked after, she's brought into the household. We meet Alfredo, who turns out to be the narrator, which once again, that's an interesting take, that they take him from the outside narrator to the actual character.
Yeah.
And they haven't done this in a Hammer horror movie before, so I liked it. It didn't really... It could have been overused a bit.
Yeah,
but the fact that brought it into his character, to me, forgave it, because...
It sort of introduced him at a time when he was supposed to come into the movie.
Yeah, and it saves a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
So he's narrating the story, and he's in... So this is based on an account of the tale. So now we're finding out how the tale got out there. He's written it down and published it.
Yeah.
So it works.
This is where I found her in the letter, isn't it?
So he is dictating this story.
Yeah.
So you're getting a bit of fourth wall break. He's basically dictating the story, the events that he was part of. Hence the movie coming to be. And like, you don't get that level of cleverness today.
No.
Today they try to do that. They butcher it. Like, they would try and do that today and just... They wouldn't get it right at all because they don't know storytelling.
Yeah.
It's a shame what we've lost.
Definitely. Yeah.
So obviously, servant girl stays in the house. They find out she's pregnant, and then that's where Teresa tells us about the legend of he could possibly be born, and the baby could be born on Christmas Day. That's seen as an affront to God. That's why we don't court. We don't do any courtship April and May or March and April. In case this happens.
One thing I did pick up on, which I thought was brilliant, was how the young Leon looks so much like Oliver Reed. And when same hairstyles, even his facial features, you could have thought, hey, that's Oliver Reed's baby there. It's I'm trying to think.
You mean they actually tried to make an effort while they're casting?
Yeah. Just having a look. No, it doesn't actually tell you the.
No, uncredited. The thing is, a lot of these sort of databases are done after the fact, and
a
lot of them are not very good. They're
just
laziness.
Justin Walters was young Leon.
Oh yeah, young Leon. Yeah,
obviously being a child, there's no photo, so
no, and we don't know what that might have been his only role. He might have just been brought in for this particular role. He could have been a friend of the family or something. You don't know.
Yeah.
I get that impression that they would have done that just to make it. Once again, there's a level of detail and effort that Hammer's already established as a major film brand, and it's also got the backing of Universal because Universal's distributing most of these movies at this point. Yeah. So there's a powerhouse of a movie company, and they don't need to put this level of detail in. They could just wing it. And here they are making an effort again so that you have in your brain, you're seeing a continuity of the story. They don't even bother today.
No.
Like if they put a young kid, it would look nothing like the older one, or they'd slap some CGI on and make it look horrendous. And you just don't buy into it. Where here they're making an effort. And once again, we weren't about back then, doing podcasts. So there's nobody to pick apart all the details.
No.
This wouldn't have made a news article. It'd just been whether the movie was good or bad.
That it was done and made it just that little bit more believable.
Yeah.
Especially around that time, because I just thought the resemblance is just so brilliant. But
once again, and I know I've said this point loads of times, you need the ground of reality before you can accept the fantastical. So little things like believing young Leon grows into older Leon, it's something that cements in your brain that this is there's a stable universe. So when you see young Leon, and even the way they did the fair, showing him as a young child, the fact he could turn into a werewolf, and even the bit where he's up, hammering on the bars, you believe that he was turned into a feral creature. Like, that's good acting from a child actor.
Yeah.
So by grounding that, that you actually believe this could be happening, when he turns into a werewolf, you're like, I'm on board. You can suspend disbelief and go along with the story. Yeah. This is why a lot of modern movies are failing, because they don't spend the time putting you in the universe. Time is a big thing. I know I've seen it with some of the movies here that it's where it takes you right out of it, where they don't get how long it takes to travel from one place to another. So you have no sense of geography. Is a good one, where you don't resonate with the characters. Like, look how long this spent making you get to know the interplays between the characters and how Leon came to being, and how his secret was kept. They were confident that he was so you got that idea of a loving community and family wanting the best for him.
But they didn't spare any continuity, because if you think when Leon was young, when the scene went to the fact that Leon had grown into Oliver Reed, even the uncle and the auntie were made to look
older. Yeah,
they had grey hair and everything, and So the continuity was still there. You know, would they have thought of that in today's movies?
They wouldn't care.
Yeah.
They wouldn't care. That's the problem. That's why most people are like, nah, not interested. That's why there's an apathy towards movies, and why the cinema is literally down in front of us because of this laziness. And then there's a lot to be said about the indie scene as well, because there's a bit of a, I'm getting a few pennies, I'm just going to throw something out. You know, the ones that get like studios, just they're back and call, and they're dancing to their tune, so they're almost falling into the same mistakes. Or they're using the title indie to make, oh, you have to like me because I'm an indie and I don't have to make any effort. And we're seeing a bit of that too, which once again is adding to the apathy because people aren't trying. And you look at them in the old days of Hammer, they had to really bust their behind to put a movie out.
Yeah.
To get successful. They had to work to get it. And I just think there's this culture of people expecting it to be just handed to them and not put the effort in, and they think that they're entitled to an audience. It's like us sitting here. I don't for 1 second think I'm entitled to an audience. I don't think I'm entitled to a subscriber. You know, it's grateful for it happening, but I understand that you have to put the effort in to, like, know this movie, for example, to think about it. Make sure you're on time. When you say you're going to turn up for a stream, you're there. You know, simple things like that, where I've seen even streamers and all have that sort of laziness of, well, it did say I was turning up at 8 o'clock. I'll come on about 15:15. What does it matter? You know, there's this strange entitlement with folks that they don't have to actually turn up on time, do what you're meant to do, and act like you give a shit. You know, and that's a bad thing for art. And that's a bad thing for storytelling. That's a bad thing for anything that you create. If you get that sort of slack attitude of, well, doesn't matter, I'm big enough now, I don't need to try anymore. You just create anger initially, and then you just create apathy. Nobody cares, and then you're adding to the overall problem. You're not part of the solution.
One thing I noticed in this film, apart from Michael Ripper, was it was a completely new cast compared to all the previous Hammer films. Because we've always had the Christopher Lee, the Peter Cushing, element in all the other films. But to look at this, you couldn't have seen either of those two.
Oh, the wouldn't be a square peg.
You couldn't have fitted them in. Not even Marquis or the Unco.
No.
They just couldn't have. They just, yeah.
But once again, this is Hammer almost has a license at this point, 12 movies in, to be lazy, to go, oh, I'll just throw Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing on screen and the dumb audience will lap it up. That's what they do. Well, look at what they're doing today. They're bringing out the same actors who they've already killed off in characters, and they're bringing them back because they can't. They're that lazy, and they think their audience is stupid, and they just keep doing it, right? Here we go. Even with the number of movies in, now they haven't thrown Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing away, but what they're saying is, we're not relying on them. We're still going to try and tell new and inventive stories. And sure enough, like you said, they're bringing an entirely new cast. And I didn't feel like I was cheated.
No.
I don't feel like I was cheated not seeing Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee in this. Doesn't mean I don't still love their movies, but I'm happy that I'm getting something different.
It was well cast.
Absolutely.
Oliver Reed as the werewolf was good. The cast were believable. They were well cast. A lot of the actors I'd never heard of before. And
that's showing bravery as well, because they're not, let's go with the tried and tested formula because we don't want to break the boundaries or try anything new. And there's, this is a Hammer movie for a start, right? It still has that look about it, but it's also something different. It's a different aesthetic because of the location.
Yeah.
There's almost a brightness because of the, I don't know where exactly it was set. I didn't look that up, but I can imagine it being set in Spain. I can see Spain where some of the ones it did in Germany and Transylvania, you couldn't really tell the difference between that and London of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's, a wee bit of sameness. Where this, you're getting an idea of like more open, fresh, but it still has that sort of gothic look to it, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. The guy who played the beggar, I didn't realize he was in The Revenge of Frankenstein. Yeah, so Hammer have reused him.
Yeah, there's used some, but it's still, this is a fresh product, but it's still Hammer. You can still, it's not like they've completely subverted their own model.
No. And again, he's a jobbing actor who's worked up to his death in 1989. So
we're seeing a pattern here, Robert. We're seeing people who we're seeing craftspeople.
Yeah.
We're seeing people who are dedicated to their craft, and it's their vocation, not their job. Yeah. And they're not interested in being stars. They're interested in doing what they do. And as long as they keep getting to do it, they're happy and they've lived reasonable lives. What is wrong with that?
Yeah, it's a lot of them are, and I didn't realize as well. Peter Sallis was in this one. Did you see Peter Sallis?
No, I didn't.
Don Enrique.
Oh, that's Christina's father.
Yeah, that was Peter Sallis.
They did well keeping him out of it. You never really got a full close-up of him. He was either on the balcony or in the doorway or just out of shot, just coming in the door. He was never really front and center. He was more of a plot device.
Yeah. He was another fantastic actor who worked all his life, be it in voiceovers, cartoons like Wallace and Gromit and everything. You had Last of the Summer Wine, didn't you? And he's another actor who's worked both as in his later life as Last of the Summer Wine, of course, but before that he was mainly a jobbing actor in the 80s and in Crossroads. A lot of TV, of course. Jack and Ori. He was on Jack and Ori.
God, tell me a story, Jack and Ori. I wasn't yesterday. God. I have to say, like, the comedic relief in this was Jose. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I just love it. Yep. And here's what you do: you put the wine inside, you put the labels outside. Both.
Yeah.
And he sounded as if he's been like helping himself the whole time.
This is red. This is white.
Like
you do that from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the evening. What a boring job, isn't it?
For 6 pesos.
Yeah.
Times. Love it. Do you know what? Even the cutout dancers was still funny. Like, I would still giggle. If somebody did that today, I'd be like, ee, like a wee child. Because it's daft and it's funny, and why not?
One thing I did laugh at as well was the music in the banquet. When he said, "Music, please," and it started instantly. And you think, well, hold on. Where's the band? The band.
Have you not seen it?
Oh, did you see it? I couldn't see it.
Because there was, once again, it was part of the subtext of the whole thing. They're waiting, like,
They must have been wet.
Yeah, because once again, I think we got a wee bit of a pan to them, and you see them nervously starting to play. Like, they're poised, they're terrified, nobody's relaxed in that banquet hall. There's so much to take from that banquet hall scene. If you pick up on it, that this is a scary place to live. This guy is unhinged.
Yeah.
And that's
I thought I could hear instruments in that band though that weren't even invented.
Probably. Let's be honest. You'd be going through the audience with your clipboard auditing, wouldn't you? No, get out. No, out. You're using take their violin off them and give them an older version of it. That's more time appropriate. Yeah, I could picture you doing that.
Yeah.
Ah, dear.
Cracking ending. I did love the ending on it, and I thought it wasn't rushed. It was just the right time. He was being chased. There were things like he threw the bale of hay down when it was on fire.
Oh my god, yes, that you could not get away with that today.
No, because it would have to be there'd have to be a risk assessment, and they'd think, you can't throw it down on a group of people, because it was a real scene, wasn't it? It was a real bale.
They literally
on the real people.
Fraction of a second to bounce out of the way of a burning bale of hay being thrown at them. Like, you could see the sparks actually hitting off the ground at people. Like, if that had went wrong, there was somebody missed their case.
Some of the people actually caught on fire, and it makes you wonder, was that supposed to be proper? Did it happen because
they're not going to admit it, are they, in case they got sued at the time? They just put a blanket around them and sent them to the hospital, and maybe give them a few quid and said thanks for your help, and the same people would have turned up next week on set for the new movie. I miss that robustness of people. Like, obviously you don't want to have to worry about getting burned to death while you're going to work, but these are people, like, they're prepared to do this, and you've only got like one take of that, let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
because of the film and everything else. So they might have practiced once with a bale of hay, not on fire, but when it came to doing the actual scene, and I would imagine that was Oliver Reed proper throwing the bale of hay, well, they set it in fire and just got him to throw it, and right in the middle. God, that just made me. It just made me love this movie more, if I'm honest, because the fact they're prepared to do that, and like, it would be digital fire today, you would not even remotely get that.
No. And you'd be able to tell it was a digital fire.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like when they blow up buildings now, isn't it? You see the fire come out, and you think, yeah, okay.
I reviewed Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 there at the weekend, and you could see digital fire there and digital blood and stuff, and you're just like, oh my God, and it looks horrible. Like, there's some bits where it really went on fire, and then you can see the actual fake fire, and you're just like, oh no.
CGI's all right for
it's meant to be a layer over the top of practical. It's not meant to be relied on.
Films that don't take themselves seriously, Sharknado, for instance.
Oh God, please! I have 2 more movies to do.
I love Sharknados. I can't wait for Catnado.
I hate you. You and Chris are both stitching me up. You're both teaming up on me and making my life hell.
Oh, I love the shark.
2 more.
Another one that Cole laughs at.
They're shit.
No,
there's nothing good about them. They're shit.
Sharknados.
They are absolute crap. And you'll never tell me otherwise. My brain is hurting watching those movies. I am losing the will to live. Thank goodness there's only 2 left. Oh, man. That is... When's the last time you watched Sharknado?
Oh, only about a month ago. Yeah, we watched it because it was on. It came up on one of the streaming channels, and I says, and me and Cole were both looking to watch something. I says, "Oh, you're gonna watch Sharknado?" And then we watched Sharknado 2, and then number 3. We're about to watch number 4 now. So.
Yeah, we just finished number 4 last week, and I hate my life.
I think I just got told, no, we're not.
Love you, Cole. You tell him straight.
I think that's what he said.
No, he probably said something unrepeatable. We see this episode will get taken down as well.
Yeah, I just think they're so. They sort of take the mick out of because horror can be quite serious and quite dramatic, and then you got the Sharknadoes that just turn it upside down and think, whoa, we're gonna be these sharks in the twister, and then they come and bite the heads off.
Well, the problem is I have wooden planks as the main cast. That guy Ian Zeffring and the one that played Tara Reid.
Another good thing about the Sharknadoes is
that's not good. It's horrible.
They remind me so much of the airplane films.
No, the airplane films were clever. Because every time you watch an airplane film, something else is happening in the background as well. It's like the Police Academy movies. They're done in layers. So you've got what's happening in front of you, and then you've got what's happening behind, and there's always a little extra bit. They're multi-layered scenes.
If you watch the Sharknadoes, though, you've always got the people in the background that you don't see being killed by a shark. You only see the ones at the front of, heads off, but if you're looking behind...
Yeah, there's someone else getting dropped.
There's someone else getting eaten.
Right. When you're reviewing a movie, you have to pay attention. I don't have a choice not to pay attention. It's not like I'm just putting it on and having a giggle. I have to actually watch this thing for the plot. And then my brain, I have a seizure. Like this poor vein right here is just going dun 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 all the time.
Don't really have a plot.
I'm well aware.
It's a shark.
But you need something to justify the dialogue. The dialogue's freaking painful. The only one's having a good time, David Hasselhoff. He's just in his own movie, not giving a shit.
Do you want to appear? It's one of the things in it, like the old Columbos, where actors were queuing up to have a part to be caught out by Peter Falk. They wanted to be the guilty party, and it's the same as this. People wanted to queue up to be in Sharknado.
Yeah, but
David Hasselhoff, wasn't it?
It was a thing of his time, though. Like I look at the cameos and I'm just scratching my head going, I know none of these people.
No.
Well, I'm not American for a start, so most of them are like local American personalities. It's like, okay, even when they tell you their real names as themselves, I'm looking going, I know nobody.
Yeah, it's like.
But how did this stream devolve into shit movie night? As you just trying to bring balance that we're having too much fun enjoying a good movie that you're like, here, I know, I'm just going to ruin your night with talking about a shit one.
What's some crap, I tell you, in the past.
Oh, God.
90210 Shark Attack. And it's laughable. Even I laugh.
Do you know how bad it is, right? The DVD box set I got of the Sharknadoes have a bonus movie on each of the discs.
Oh,
and I just won't do it. Like two-headed shark and shark gator or something. You know what I mean? There's all that. And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm not doing it. I can't. Chris never already.
There's actually a good one out now called No Way Up. It's a shark film. And it's got a good storyline and it's quite good to watch. It's about divers who find a wreck and the shark traps them in the wreck. And it's real. They actually use footage of real sharks combined with the CGI. And it's well worth a watch. No Way Up, it's called. I think it's on Prime.
Is that what they're diving for treasure?
No, not really.
It's must be one.
It's an old wreck of a boat that was back in World War II. It got torpedoed, and the two who survived thought they were safe, and they weren't because they were in shark-infested waters. And then the salvage crew, years and years later, goes down and they find this thing, and it's quite a story behind it. It's a good story behind it. The guy who runs the salvage company is going bankrupt, and his first mate has got some friends coming over, and one of the friends is totally rich, and he says, let's go down for a dive. And he says, no, because we've got to report it as a historical find, He says, "We'll report it the day after." And then the guy tells him that he's going under, bankrupt, and he says, "Oh, I might have an answer." So he says, "Oh, we'll go down for the dive, and I'll take you down there for 50 grand." And the rich guy agrees, and they go down. And of course, it's shark-infested waters still, and they're being hunted by these sharks. Real good film. And they, like I said, they use shots of real sharks, and of course, in the wreck itself, they use the CGI sharks. But you can't really tell that they're CGI sharks.
Well, I might get round to it. But there's no CGI in this film, and I'm glad.
This is brilliant. Back to Curse of the Werewolf, and like I said, the ending is absolutely.
It comes full circle. So the scene was here at the start of the movie, with Oliver Reed as the werewolf crying, and the emotion. That's how the movie finishes, because at the end of the day, it's his uncle, his adopted uncle, father shoots him. Nobody wants to do it, and it's
and there's a look of sadness in the uncle's face when he does do it, and it's like the look of, I had to do it.
Well, he's the one begged to be killed. When he's in the jail cell, he's like, please have me executed before nighttime.
Yeah.
He was begging to have a sentence carried out immediately, and it was actually the magistrates like, no, he can go through the due process. He was actually, Leon was actually terrified of turning into the wolf again.
Yeah. But it must have been going through the uncle's mind of, I can't kill you, I can't kill you, and then at the end he did. So.
But it was an act of mercy as opposed to him getting ripped apart by the mob.
Yeah.
Or locked up as a
loony.
Or, in a freak show or something. There's no way Leon was having a good future. Or he escaped and he basically lived grubbing off the land, as a,
No.
There's no good outcome. And plus the fact that Leon isn't a villain in this. He actually is regretful, so he'd have to live the remorse of what he's done.
Which is where I said you actually feel sorry for the protagonist, that he's got this disease, or
Well, Prieston has explained it about the spirits and stuff and the competing forces, and it's actually two living entity, or one supernatural, one natural. It's two spirits fighting for control of the same body. And it was interesting as well the way he explained rigor mortis, that the reason humans go into rigor mortis when they die is so that the spirits can't take over the body and find a lifeless husk. And I'm like, that is some wonderful scientific thinking for back in the day. That's actually clever thought.
Yeah.
You don't get that today. Everything's dumbed down.
That's what my mum used to call my sister and my brother-in-law when they were courting, and she used to call them rigor mortis and clinging ivy.
Fun times. But there you go.
Good film.
It was all reality TV stars. Well, there you go. I never watched reality TV and never got into it. No interest. But yeah, good film, good chat, and thanks for everyone in the live chat for turning up. Bit of a quiet one tonight, but and thanks Bronson for subscribing to our platforms. Always good. Every little bit helps. Those pesky algorithms, need all the support they can get. Especially when YouTube's banning me for no reason whatsoever.
Cole gets banned off YouTube and I get banned off Facebook. So
yeah, but we'll take turns getting banned off platforms. Just for... Oh dear, that's a fun life, but we'll keep carrying on. But Steve, as always, mate, great to have you on board. It's a fun chat.
Yeah,
and everyone else that joined in there, always appreciated. And just leaves me to say, until next time, keep updated with the channel, do the typey clicky things, And remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.